Time to open the history books, but I promise Professor Funmaster Mike won't make this boring. The Greek gift sacrifice in chess comes from an historical moment where a fake gift was given and that Trojan horse had a bunch of soldiers hidden inside it. Funny thing is, in chess, it's actually the bishop, not the knight, that's the trick piece in the Greek gift, but they all play their role. Let's take a look at what I'm talking about. A Greek gift almost always starts with a sacrifice on h7 or h2. The bishop is the piece doing the damage. The knight almost always follows up by coming to the square g5, and the queen plays her part too. The queen usually lands on the square h5 if possible. So it's pretty much a 1-2-3 dance step. Bishop h7, knight g5, queen h5. Of course, there are more complicated examples, but we'll get to those later in the video. Also, one more element to take note of. Notice there is no black knight on f6, which is guarding h7. I don't think I've ever seen a Greek gift sacrifice with a defensive knight on f6. Of course, that means white's pawn on e5 plays his role, making sure there's no knight that can be on that square. Okay, on to the action. The Greek gift sacrifice is taking on h7 with your bishop. Now, if the king doesn't take, you win a free pawn, and the king is a little bit weaker. And if he does take, as I said, it's a 1-2-3 dance step. Knight to g5 check is the next move. Now, here's the interesting thing about the Greek gift. A lot of times, your opponent's king has 4 different places to put his king. You have to go through them one by one by one by one and make sure that they all lead to something good for white. So we're going to do that a little more extensively in our first example. If the king goes to h8, it's mate in 2. Queen check, king over, and mate. Very simple. Okay, moving back after knight g5. If the king moves to the square g8, I want you to learn this pattern. It's an important one. After queen to h5, we're threatening mate. And the only reasonable way to stop it is to move the rook over. Now, before you go checking the king, I want you to take this f7 pawn first. I'm going to show you why. When the king runs away, we return to where we came from. Then when we give check on h7 and the king runs away, we can give check again. And when the king moves, there is no f7 pawn. Remember, we got that guy out of the way first. That allows us to play queen takes g7 and it's mate. So really important to take that f7 pawn first. You might want to rewind the video, look at that one again. But we're going to move on. If the king moves to the square h6, you know what? There might be a mate, but the simplest is just to play a double discovered check. You can take on e6, or my favorite is f7, because it's double check. Notice the bishop on c1 playing his part, and we take the queen on the next turn. The last option is the king moving to the square g6. This is often the toughest defense. There are 3 ideas that I see when the king lands on g6. You can sometimes check with your queen here, sometimes put your queen here and threaten discovered attacks, and sometimes the h-pawn is the hero and moves up the chessboard. In truth, they're all probably good here, but the h-pawn is best. For instance, if you play queen d3, he can put his pawn on the square f5, and if you take en passant, the king can take back on f6. Now you could take here and gobble up some material, but remember, you did sacrifice a bishop to start this. Let's go back. The strongest move is pawn to h4, and with the rook backing up the pawn, this makes this move even stronger. We're very simply going to play h5 on the next turn, and that poor black king, if he comes further, he's definitely going to get mated, and if he moves back to the dark square diagonal, we still have our double discovered check winning the queen coming up. Black really can't survive this position. All right, let's move on. The only time in my life that Funmaster Mike ever won something called a Brilliancy Prize was a Greek gift sacrifice. Brilliancy Prize is when you end a tournament, they look at all the best played games and then they say, hey, your game was the best. Let me give you a free $100. So maybe you'll learn how to win $100 by watching my video here. All right, so there's no knight on the square f6. You all know what's coming up. Bishop takes h7. If he doesn't take, free pawn. When he did take, I played knight g5. Now things are different here because there's actually a battery on my knight. He has 2 options here. He can take my knight or move his king. Now, if the king goes backwards, you know what's going to happen. The queen's going to take the bishop. I'm actually going to be ahead material with checkmating threats. Life is good. We also know that king h6 is horrible because knight takes f7 is the exact same double check winning the queen. All right, let's say he does take my knight. Things aren't going to be quite as exciting here, but still pretty fun. I get one of my 2 pieces back. Notice I'm double attacking his bishop, and if he saves his bishop, I'll make a quick trade. I will get my piece back. Notice I'm ahead a pawn. Black's king is much weaker. I don't think he wants to take this pawn because I'll put one of my rooks in the d file. He's got some problems. Let's go back. After knight g5, instead of taking my knight, the only king move we had not analyzed yet was king g6. That's actually what was played in the game. Let me show you this neat way I finished things off. Queen to d3 check. His pawn moved up to the square f5. Then I played knight e6, forking his queen and his rook. Now when his queen moved, I did not take his rook, because when he takes back, if you count the material carefully, he actually has 2 minor pieces for the rook. Instead, I played this really exciting move, knight takes knight. I got my piece back. I'm ahead a pawn. His king is busted. And of course, the question is, why can't he take one of my knights? Look at this thing. If he takes my knight here, I fork him on f4. And if he takes my other knight, well, I've got an answer for that too. That's the real Trojan knight there, right? Can't take either knight because the soldiers jump out and eat the queen. Wouldn't that be fun if there was hidden soldiers inside the knight that could break loose? Okay, we're not playing Harry Potter chess here, but I think you all enjoy my tactic and you see why they gave me 100 smackers. On to our next position. There is a knight on f6 and our bishop is not yet able to get to h7. What are we going to do about that? Well, you know the first move, e5, clearing out our bishop and making that knight run away. Okay, black trades pawns, we'll make a quick trade, but you know what? We're not ready for the Greek gift. If we take, and the king takes back, our knight can't go to g5. He's just going to take it with his bishop. We're going to be down 2 pieces, and you can't mate with just your queen. So white prepares the Greek gift with h4. All right, black plays the move f6. Again, if you take on h7 and play knight g5, I'm not quite sure it's going to work. White actually played the moves in reverse order, knight to g5, double attacking this pawn. Now, I suppose the pawn could come forward, but black has a lot of light square weaknesses around his king, and you've already done the lesson on color weaknesses. So instead, black took the knight, then we played the Greek gift in reverse. The bishop takes on the second turn. After king takes, pawn takes, and the king better not run forward because queen h5 is going to lead to disaster. So the king ran backward. And here, I know you're screaming at your monitor looking for queen h5. What am I talking about? You're screaming at your iPhone, aren't you? But after queen h5, I'm not quite sure you can mate because the king can sneak out to f7. So it was forced mate after rook h8. Simply brilliant. If king f7, queen h5 does lead to mate. I'm going to let you work that out on your own if you don't believe me. So when the king took, we had queen h5 check, king over g6, and it is officially forced mate. The queen is coming to h7, and if need be, she will come to the square h8. It is all over. One way the game could have ended would have been knight f6, but we'll take that. And if you take with the rook to give your king a little bit of an escape room, queen up, king over, queen up does lead to mate. One final example. Grandmaster Kamsky. He's won the U.S. Championship more times than I can count. Actually, okay, 5 times. I can count to 5. He was white here. Now, it doesn't look like the conditions are right for a Greek gift. How is our knight going to get to the square g5 in any kind of quick way? Well, the winning move here seems not important at all. Kamsky takes this pawn. Now, why is it so important to draw the black queen to c5? You're about to find out. The Greek gift. Ow. The king takes. Ow. Queen to h5. He's inverting the move order a little bit. The king, of course, only has one legal move. But do you see the queens lined up now? Knight to e4 because the pawn is pinned. That also wins a tempo. The queen has to run away. And after the move knight to g5, it wasn't quite over yet because the rook can move away. But you all know when the rook does move away, we eat that pawn first. Then we come back to h5. And although I'm not going to show you the entire game, I think you understand black's king is incredibly weak. Kamsky went on to win the game. Boys and chess girls, the Greek gift is the bishop taking on h7, the knight traveling to g5, the queen landing on h5. Of course, black can do it too. You'd have to flip all those squares upside down, but I want you to be careful of it because I want your soldiers to come out and trick your opponent.